Welcome to Hops News, the trusted source in beer culture news. Here's your host, Jay Brew, with special guests, the Hoppy Mommy, Lucky, and Mash.
Blast off!
Hey, welcome to another episode. We're legit again this week. It's been a while since we've had a guest on, but I am jacked for our guest today. This is kind of a follow-up to our bad beer episode. We felt like we need to probably bring in an expert to talk about bad beer since you guys were relying on us for so much information from that episode. So we've got an expert that's going to join us here in just a second, but I'm looking forward to hearing from her. I'm pretty familiar with her products. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm interested to hear from her and kind of get her take. It's pretty exciting that we've got a real guest again. We were there for a while. We were kind of getting it's like, man, we've got working through another guest, but it's exciting to have one on tonight. So looking forward to that. We're getting ready to take the proverbial kick in the nuts from Mother Nature over here in North Carolina from this winter storm that swept through the South. So I thought it was pretty fitting to finish off the last cold mountain that I had in the fridge out there before that thing hits us in the morning. Anticipated about 3/4 of an inch of ice and a lot of power down. So
we have a high of 88 tomorrow and a low of 70.
I'm getting some snow
Oh
myself.
God.
Nobody asked. I bet you our guest has some decent weather out there too. I doubt our guest probably had to deal with that weather that we've all dealt with in the Southeast. So
This is ridiculous.
it's going to be a challenge tomorrow. Probably another work from home day, but there's always worse to think about. Let's go check in with Hoppy down there at the 88 and balmy, sunny Orlando.
So oppressed.
Ooh.
Hoppy, how are things in Orlando tonight?
Things are good. The weather's been great. We went to the beach the other day. I'm looking at pictures of people shoveling snow, and
You were
got my
looking at
toes
my
in the
pasty
sand.
legs.
So yeah, Matt sent me a picture of him shoveling snow. I sent him a picture back of me at the beach. But I heard he doesn't like sand, so
It's
he likes
coarse,
snow.
rough, and gets everywhere.
It's
Snow's
good for
literally
you. It's
frozen. It's like
exfoliating.
so cold. It's actually frozen water.
That sounds
Wow,
terrible.
that's great scientific analysis there.
Well, it's as good as
You
coarse
don't
sand.
say.
What are you talking about?
But I cracked open a beer from Ten Ben's Beer Company in Vermont. It's a double New
Whoa.
England IPA, Northern Heights. It's delicious. We got it at the local bottle shop, GB Bottle Shop. They're always getting us some amazing stuff. It's got Citra, Mosaic, Amarillo, and Warrior hops. So it's only
That's a
8%.
nice
So I'm
can.
taking it easy tonight.
Hoppy coming
It is
out
a really
with
pretty
the-
can.
Hoppy coming out with a Cannon's double IPA. Kicking it off. What do you got to follow up, Hoppy? I'm going to be looking forward to what you're following up with tonight, because if you're starting out with a double, it's got to be pretty big.
Well, I
I also have a
actually
double IPA.
didn't pick. This is my second beer, but I got the beer fridge right here. Maybe I'll crack open that coconut porter that Lucky was raving about last week. I got that. Maybe that'll be on deck.
Ooh.
Nice.
Sometimes nice to do a dark beer after a hoppy beer.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Lucky, let's go check in with Lucky up there in the tundra of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Lucky,
Yeah.
you guys got polar bears that are moved in town yet, or what?
Yeah. I almost ran into one actually a couple days ago. But no, like the rest of the world is falling apart. And here in Wisconsin, I wore shorts to walk my dog today because it hit 20 degrees.
I was going to say, Texas is down there worried about frozen pipes, and Lucky's up there wondering when he can open the pool.
I know. I'm literally out there like in flip flops, just living my best life because we hit 20. So, Hoppy, I hate you, but not actually.
I'm okay with it.
It's just out of jealousy. But yeah, everything's going fine, I guess. We're used to it. So I'd see like all of the pipes bursting and flooding and all of that stuff.
Oh my
and it's just like,
gosh.
we're fine. This is like another day in the life up here. So I don't know.
Pipes
Sucks to be
burst.
them. Not here in Texas, aren't they? Like they're without power and like all of their water.
Oh yeah.
They
Or all
poisoned
the
the
pipes
water
are-
supply.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
can't imagine. That's terrible. Yeah, there's places I didn't think snowed in Texas that are like covered.
It's like I saw like a map of Texas today, and literally every single county is under like critical like weather storm warning or something like that, or it's like in a state of emergency or something because it's just all snow and it's kind of crazy. But I mean, we're used to it up here, so sorry guys.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody gets a hurricane that's not used to hurricanes.
Yep.
And
When
one of
Wisconsin
the
gets one of those, we'll be really worried.
Well, they're not that bad. I'll talk you through it if that ever happens.
yeah. The best part about this is in some of the dads groups on Facebook, there's a lot of those Southerners that are like, what do I do with this? And they'll take a picture of their outside water spigot. And it's like,
Yeah.
turn the fucking thing off and unhook the hose. What do you mean? What are you
What
going to
do
do
you
with it?
like? What?
I mean, what do you think you do with it? Just turn it off and unhook the hose, man. It's not that big of a deal.
I don't
Yeah,
even
we have to-
understand the question.
Because they're all worried about their pipes getting frozen. So
Yeah.
but
Wow.
it's pretty crazy. Pools, they're all asking about their pools. What do we do with the pool? It's like, put a cover over it.
Yeah, right.
Cover.
Find a piece of tarp or something.
Put a cover over it.
I'm drinking.
Playoffs.
I know this is way too old because I was down in Nashville a while ago, but I found one of these and I forgot that I had it. So this
Oh,
is
you lucky.
it held up in a crawler. That's for sure. It's not a crawler, but one that I'm supposed to drink right away. It held up and it's delicious. A custody
Which
battle.
one is
from
that? Is
Common
that
Law.
the
Custody
Supreme
battle?
Custody battle?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's
Ooh, I
delicious.
actually
Oh, it's
have
the
some
winner.
common law news for us tonight too.
Oh, nice.
awesome.
Nice.
It's amazing. How are you guys? I've missed you.
I'm great.
Yeah, we
ready
missed
to-
you too.
I love your face. I miss you.
Let's go check in with Mash there in Mountain Home, Idaho. Mash, what's going
up?
on in Mountain Home, Idaho? How are things going? You guys freezing out there? What's the
pretty
word
windy.
in Mountain Home?
It's we're getting snow. We actually got a foot of snow over the weekend, which is unheard of for here because I'm still in the desert kind of area. We're getting more snow Thursday night. I am here for it. I would live in a snowy environment. In fact, I have made some friends with a Canadian podcast, and I'm working on moving into their basement because I love Canada so much. And that's,
Is it their basement or their mom's?
it doesn't matter. I'm moving to Canada. Let's just have.
Man,
That
could you
said-
imagine the show
The
you could
details you
produce
don't
with
need.
that?
Don't worry about it. All right. And this all circles back to the beer I'm drinking, which is the Observer. So you can all
Nice.
observe me in Canada. It's actually also a double IPA. It's from Trim Tab in Alabama. They're a wicked good brewery. And speaking of common law, so y'all saw on Geeks, we did the superhero beers. Well, Aquaman hits the brewing calendar at Common Law on March 27th. Daredevil March 13th, and Scarlet Witch on March 20th. So we've teamed up with Brad, and we're going to do another giveaway. Only this time, it's going to include the beers that they brew for each character, and it's going to be pretty great. And so that's kind of the news I have there. And also, they're hopefully opening this summer, and we will be there.
Knock on
Cannot
wood.
wait.
As to all plans nowadays. Knock on wood.
Please.
Fingers crossed that that will
Was
be
that a
there.
Wookiee?
Yeah, I don't know what
Yes.
that was. It sounded like an 80s car horn or something.
Was that Lucky that did that?
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't.
Yeah, Mash, good to see you, man. How's the Air Force treating you? You guys good? Eating lobster still? Living in hotels? How's life in the Air Force still? Is it
Actually,
good?
it's great because I am in like a 2-person deep. I play by the rules. Who am I kidding? Yes, please. I hope my OSI officer who's watching this doesn't report me. But no, it's great. I have a job that I enjoy. I'm in the military, but at the same time, I just get to do whatever I kind of want. And it's awesome. If I was staying in my actual old job, I would have gotten out of the military, because if you work in the flight line, you kind of want to kill yourself. And that's where I was at. Not really. This is not a mental health podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's fine. It's great. I promote March 1st. I've been in just about 10 years. So 10 more years to that sweet retirement and disability pay, baby,
Awesome. Hang in there, Mash.
for the people.
We appreciate your service.
Thanks.
All right. So right over here, over my left shoulder, is kind of a giveaway for our guests. We'll bring our guest on in just a second. But looking forward to chatting with her. I'm not going to be on the camera much, but I'm opening my figures.
Was that a hop slam?
Hop slam.
Nice.
Opened my last
Solid
one tonight,
choice.
so thought I'd come in and talk about that. Always Bell's Hop Slam's always a good one. And without further ado, let's go check in with our guest, Neva Parker, Director of Operations at White Labs in San Diego, California. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's
It's
you're
been a
kind of
while. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so you'll have to apologize all of the noise and awkwardness.
no, hey, don't, hey, it can't get any more strange than what we do sometimes on this show.
We're not that formal.
We're the fact that you stuck around this long.
if you made it through intros, you're doing pretty good. But definitely appreciate you joining us. We had an episode a week or two ago, I guess it was, and we talked about bad beer. Obviously, it can be taken a couple of different ways, right? The way that most brewers would think about beer is something's happened, right? Something has gone wrong in their brewing process, but we kind of took it a little bit further and talked about styles that we may not like. But definitely wanted to chat with you, bring you on from kind of that official standpoint and talk about not only what you guys look at as what could turn out to be bad beer, but what White Labs actually does, because I think you guys probably do a lot more than just sell yeast, what everybody knows you guys for. So
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to hearing some of that for us. But before we get there, tell us what your first beer was.
Oh, okay. So you guys caught me off guard when we started, so I had to go look at my fridge and see what we were currently holding, and I have to say it was a pretty good selection. So what I've got actually is a San Diego brewery here, which is I'm in San Diego, Epic Brewery.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys have had their beer or been there, they make a lot of really great stuff. Yeah, I really like their beer. This one is Comfy Chair, which is their oatmeal stout.
Nice.
Yeah.
That
It's
sounds
my
delicious.
perfect pre-workout beer.
Ooh,
Yeah,
workout beer?
pre-workout.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I did not know that they made those.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I
well.
have had that brewery. I've had Epic EPIC, but that looks like it has an extra P.
Yes, Epig,
I
EPPIG.
have not had their beer.
Yeah, check it out if you can find
Will.
it. It's very good. Yeah.
So Neva, kind of our start in the beer for most of us on this side of the camera was Grandpa's refrigerator in the garage or Uncle's house. Sneak the Miller Lite. Do you recall what your very first beer was?
Oh my gosh. I'll never forget. I was probably 4 or 5 and my grandma was drinking a Budweiser. And of course, you're a little kid, so you're like, what is this drink? You want to sneak a little bit of it. And I thought it was the worst thing I'd ever tasted. So that was the first beer,
Nice.
experience. It wasn't a good one. I feel like they usually aren't.
Hey, hats off to Grandma drinking the Budweiser, going full
Yeah.
lead. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive. So you go from Budweiser. What was kind of your next experience, your next, I guess, growth in beer? What would be your step up from kind of the domestic lines that you remember?
I don't know if I'd call any of them really a step up. High school, college, I'm sure I wasn't really drinking very good beer. But probably I went to Gonzaga in Spokane, Washington.
Ooh.
And really what could you get up in that area? It was a lot of Canadian beer, a lot of, like Molson, Kokanee, things like that, all light lager. My first, craft beer at that time was Fat Tire. That was well distributed. You could get it anywhere. We used to splurge on buying Fat Tire in college, going to the beer store
That is Jay's favorite beer,
and
actually.
picking it up.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Neva, you can buy all the Fat Tire you want. I'll let you have my share.
I don't think I've had a Fat Tire since college.
Yeah.
It's still impressive for that to be your college beer, though. I was drinking Bud Light in college.
Oh yeah, I mean we did a lot of like Busch Light, kegs, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
pretty
cheap.
typical.
Nice. So Neva, how did you get from college drinking Busch Lights and the Fat Tire experiment that you had in college to working in the beer industry? What was that growth and what was that journey like for you?
I would say it was a little bit of a fluke. It was sort of being at the right place at the right time. I graduated from college. I moved to San Diego to get out of the weather in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
And I had spent a semester abroad in London. So that was my first probably real introduction into any kind of like small batch or craft beer. And also that wasn't domestic. So that really got me interested. When I was kind of looking for work, I was a biology major. So really I was looking for something in the sciences. And I had kind of landed this job at White Labs as like this seems interesting and not your run of the mill, biotech kind of job. And went in for my interview and just sort of hit it off with the owners, Chris and Lisa. And I guess you could say the rest is history.
So did you walk in the door as the director of operations?
Of course. No.
Nice. Nice.
No, definitely not. When I started, it was 2003 and we had about 15 employees. It was very small. And I was just like bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Here's what
That's a
you
good
do.
plan.
You work the worst hours, just get the job done. And I did it. So, worked my way up.
Very nice. Yeah, and now obviously the director of operations at White Labs in San Diego, California. I can't tell you. So I've had a little bit of time in the beer industry myself. I started out as a controller at a brewery here in Boone, North Carolina. And I will tell you, when I seen the price for shipping on the yeast to get from San Diego, California to Boone, North Carolina, and then you see the cost of the yeast, as a money guy, my heart literally fell out of the bottom. I mean, it was, it's definitely a shock. And I don't think that people really understand kind of that cost to make sure that their products are fresh to get into their beer. And for me as a very young guy in beer, I'm like, man, we've got to be able to save money. I mean, we can do something better than this.
Yeah.
And of course, all the brewers are like, no, we're not changing anything we do in this process. So when you guys opened the lab here in Asheville, North Carolina, that was the best thing that ever happened.
Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's been it's an interesting, what you guys do for breweries is pretty interesting, and how you get that yeast, I mean, literally all over the country almost overnight is pretty amazing. Talk to us a little bit about, before we go into talking about bad beer, talk about some of the services and the products that you do offer, maybe outside of yeast, that people know is kind of the norm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously yeast is the main one, but we try to, include a lot of different things that kind of support yeast, and not just yeast, but fermentation. So we provide other fermentation aids. We provide a lot of education. obviously during this time when everything's gone virtual, we've tried to really up our game in terms of some of the webinars that are offered. And it's all related back to fermentation support, troubleshooting, tips and tricks. And then we also have an analytical lab. So that is really for analyzing beer, spirits, wine, kombucha, whatever, you name it, the fermented beverages, as another way for us to provide, support and service to the industry. So we can do anything from just simple alcohol analysis to nutritional labeling analysis. A number of years back, there was a requirement to put some nutritional labeling on the beers if you owned a restaurant or a brew pub. So, we do a lot of things like that. And then we just kind of run the gamut of other types of analysis for beer, including microbiological testing to test for off flavors in beer. So lots of different things.
Nice.
You pretty much do it all.
We try.
I was shocked when I did the tour.
Holy smokes.
It's crazy. Actually, Jay, I might text you some of the pictures because I know you were able to pull up that one. I don't know if you'll be able to pull up this one, but
Yeah,
It sounds like I need to get to San Diego. I was there.
Yes.
I can't believe I was back. I went to San Diego, and this was back when I was still drinking Bud Light, so I wasn't cultured yet.
Yeah.
So
The
I'm
culture
sad I
is
missed out on
flowing.
all this. I went to the Hard Rock Cafe and got like a Bud Light, and
Oh
God.
boy.
Oh boy, I don't know. I was a different man back then,
it's
but
different, man.
Yeah.
this was 2011. I was young, and
Oh, jeez.
naive.
Hey, my first beer post on Instagram was a Bud Light. I own it. I don't shy away from it. I own it. I know where I started.
You also like chocolate covered raisinets.
Don't forget, never forget.
Dark
where it
chocolate
started.
covered raisinets are delicious. Don't judge me.
Raisins are disgusting.
So like beer on salad.
And
Not to bring
you also
Don't
like
like
beer. This is actually a fun fact. Yeah, did you know that Lauren here likes beer on her salad?
Okay, I was
She's
talking about
As like a dressing?
No,
Yeah.
well, hold on.
I
There's a
guess,
whole
I don't
story
know.
behind it. It's become like a running joke.
Story
Every
is
week
not
it ends up
relevant.
coming up
It's not.
somehow. The first time I had
disgusting.
a
That's the joke.
sour, I was like, what just happened? And somebody who was very much so into beer at the time when I wasn't, this was like, a kid ago, maybe 6 years ago, maybe even longer. And somebody was like, you should try the Duchess Bourgogne. That's I guess a classic sour style. And, it's the Flanders red ale. And I tried it. I'm like, this tastes like vinaigrette. And a few of us were trying it. And somebody's like, yeah, it does. And we just happened to be eating salad. So I poured a little on my salad and I ate it.
No. Oh no.
They've never done it. Don't knock it till you try it. I have not done it since.
no,
I did it
disgusting.
once.
Oh no.
And I sadly mentioned it on this podcast like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
And I have
wow.
to hear about it every week now.
Don't make poor decisions.
Listen.
Well, was it delicious?
It tasted like a salad
be a
dressing.
lesson.
It really
Hug your
did.
children at night. This
Hug
is what
your
happens when you
children.
don't hug
Yeah,
your
bro.
child before bed
But
every
like
night.
the sours that have become popular, though, are in no way, shape, or form like the vinaigrette kind of sours. Everything's more like a fruity or a puckery or a smooth sour, even. So these kids here don't know what a classic original sour tastes like. That's my story, and
I
I'm
don't need
sticking
any
to
of
Well,
that.
it.
I'm sorry we weren't around from the invention of beer.
Yeah,
but-
right. I was gonna say, is that pre-prohibition? Oh my god.
So Neva, we brought you on tonight to learn a little bit more, a deeper dive into bad beer, right? What can go wrong during the fermentation process for bad beer? I know you got a little bit of an educational block that you can give us. So take it away and kind of teach us from your side of things as a lab and a provider of yeast and a lot of things that help that process of fermentation. Take it from your side of what can go wrong in brewing, maybe even how you guys help brewers prevent it, and maybe some things as a beer connoisseur, people that watch our show generally are the drinkers of it, maybe describe some of the things that they may taste in their experiences that may be the beginnings or even the results of some of those processes that have failed.
Yeah, of course. I think when we work with brewers on troubleshooting when it comes to flavors, all flavors, whatever it may be, I feel like it goes into a couple of different buckets. There's sort of like the more novice brewer, where there are a lot of easy mistakes that can be made that will affect the beer flavor. Because I feel like a lot of times when you're just getting into brewing, or even if you've done it for a little while, because yeast is a living organism, it's so much harder to control and so much more can go wrong. So everything's got to be optimal to make it just right and to get all of these kind of flavors that you want to get out of the yeast. And I often tell brewers, if they don't feel like they're microbiologists, they should really start thinking that way, because it's all about controlling the yeast. If you have off flavors, if you have fermentation issues where the fermentation's slow or the beer doesn't finish, you got to know and understand what's going on. Those kinds of things can definitely contribute to, bad beer or resulting in a bad beer. And nobody wants that. So the more you understand about yeast and fermentation, the better off you are to be successful at making good beer and not bad beer. I think one of the most common things that I see really with especially newer brewers is the temperature control. That part can throw off flavor compounds really, really quickly and very readily. And that throws off flavors. I mean, you can create things like ester compounds, like a lot of those fruity compounds that maybe isn't bad in every beer, but in certain styles of beer, if you don't intend them to be there, that can, ruin the taste of the beer.
Yeah, and that temperature control, that precise temperature control, especially at bigger volumes, right? It tends to be the costly side of brewing beer. The equipment is pretty expensive. The maintenance of it can be pretty laborsome if they don't get, new equipment and that sort of thing. So that's one of those pieces of equipment that I think a lot of people, especially when they try to transition from kind of home brewing, right? Because you see it usually in a cooler or a refrigerator that does very well regulating those temperatures into a larger scale. And sometimes, those fermentation vessels, a lot of times in that transition, have no temperature regulation at all, outside of what they think is going to happen in their environment during that fermentation process. But obviously we know much larger scale brewing operations have very controlled temperature fermentation vessels. So that's got to be an interesting. You guys probably see a lot of those people that are kind of in that transition point from trying to scale up their production to getting into some of those troubles with temperatures like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really not just that. I think that's a good point. Scaling up is hard to do. It's not like a recipe where you can just like double the recipe and, everything works fine. It is really different because there's a lot of factors going into it. So doing a bigger batch, having the exact same scale doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to work and taste exactly the same. So there are some tweaks that you have to do there in order to make sure that it's where you want it to be.
Yeah, I think it's ironic that you said you got to think about a microbiologist if you're brewing beer, because I think probably any brewer that's been successful at it, the first thing that they will tell you is the most important and the most burdensome part of their job is cleaning. They are constantly cleaning from the time they start until they end, and cleaning equipment that they're going to use over and over and over again. So I think that's a pretty it was pretty interesting that you said that, because that's the first thing that I gathered from it. When I first started talking to the brewers, that's what they all complained about was it's not a job of brewing beer, it's literally a job of cleaning a brew house is kind of the way that you should look at it if you're interested in getting involved in brewing.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be glamorous from the get-go.
Yeah, the cleanliness can go a long way in that. And talk a little bit about what that, I guess, the lack of the cleanliness can do for a brewer, and maybe even some pointers as a home brewer, somebody that's just getting started out there that might be able to take away from your experiences in dealing with clients that are kind of growing like that.
Yeah, the cleanliness part is a huge piece of it. That's where it all starts. If it's not clean, you run the risk of other organisms getting into the fermentation. That includes, bacteria, that includes wild yeast, anything that's, in the air. There's a lot of organisms just floating around in the air all the time, and that's just going to land in and live on your equipment if you don't clean it well. And it's not really just about cleaning. I think that's the most important takeaway. You can't just wash it, even with soap and hot water, and call that good, because we're dealing with fermentation organisms, you really have to, at the very, very least, sanitize your stuff, any of your brewing stuff, with, chemicals, sanitizer. That's where you're going to see the most effectiveness against contaminants that may exist. Washing is great, but that's not, that's going to get like 70% of your microbes off of your equipment. So really doing the sanitizer is going to be where you want to go at the very, very least.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's definitely one of those that you kind of get used to it, right? That's why you see all the buckets sitting by the fermenters with all their tools and everything in it. They definitely keep the sanitation and sanitizer on hand, and it's there's kind of an interesting transition for brewers, right? There's where they kind of get involved and they're really clean and they prevent any of those organisms or any of that bacteria going into it. Then they kind of cross the line. It's like we want to introduce bacteria that we know we can control that's going to produce this flavor. But in the same respect, and I've, even in a small scale, you got to be very careful because that bacteria can literally take over the entire brewery and get out of control pretty quickly. So it's kind of interesting. It's a lot about cleanliness, but 5 years ago, the hip thing was get the bacteria in the beer that we know we can control and use it to produce some flavors that they're interested in trying out.
Yeah, it's very true. It adds another layer of complication to how to manage your cleaning. And, in cases like that, I just always tell people, separate your stuff. Don't use the same tubing or gaskets. Anything that's like plastic or soft, don't use the same ones with your traditional beers as you would with things that you're introducing bacteria or wild yeast. Just keep them separated.
Yeah, and even so much now that a lot of brewers and that I know up here, even some of the smaller guys have completely different locations that they're doing some of the other bacterias with and the barrel aging and that sort of thing. So it's kind of interesting. It's about what do you have as a resource and how far you want to take it to make sure that it's not getting in there. I know a big one that I hear them talking about is kettle souring. If they do a kettle sour, it's like, man, we ain't doing anything else in this brew house until we hose this thing down and sanitize it pretty well. So it's interesting, and that aspect of brewing is what makes beer what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, it's certainly manageable. You just have to be cognizant of it. You can't just throw everything in and expect that you're not going to have any problems. And I think, most brewers are well aware of that.
I think something too I never noticed is just how much I always know you got to clean stuff, but to the degree and how temperamental it all is, I never really realized that until we started doing this, till I've seen, talked to a lot of the breweries and the things that they do and how really micromanaging you kind of have to be with it. That's something that never crossed my mind.
Right. Even just home brewing, the one home brew I did ended up turning out awful. I think it was temperature, but I have since got an induction burner and I need to try again. But every time you touch something, I'm like, shit, I got to wash my hands again because I just sterilized this. And it was like, this was at the beginning of COVID. I did it. And I'm like, I'm washing my hands more today than I have this entire pandemic.
I found that same out. I'm over here like balancing things that I've already cleaned and touched. And I'm over here like, oh my God. And then one of my kids will come up and they try to touch something. I'm like, boom, kick them out of the way. Because it is and it's just like a small little, like I brewed 5 gallons, let alone and then the massive amount. Yeah, it's crazy.
Lucky, you haven't said much tonight. What are you sipping on up there? Have you changed routines or what's in your glass?
No, I've got the same thing working. I'm just listening, enjoying the conversation. I'm not smart enough for any of this. So I'm still on this. Earlier I don't know that I showed this one, but it's a blue, I don't know what this is. Blue Miata?
Miata,
maybe? Like the car?
Maybe? Sure, that works. I don't know.
It looks like Miata.
Yeah.
But on top of it says blue, and I don't know, whatever.
It's a Miata.
Okay. Yeah, it's from Vail.
I can't read.
That's what I had earlier. No,
did Micah send you that?
Yeah, he did.
Man, he hooked it up. He gave you Miata. I got the Bugatti. black Bugatti.
Oh,
So it is
they
car
do.
themed.
I didn't know. Okay, see, I didn't know that. And
Yeah,
it
yeah,
looked
no.
like O's to me. That's I don't know.
It's okay.
I
They
just
don't
can't
teach you
read.
youngins cursive. Back in my
No.
day, they used to be like, "You're going to do
It's
cursive
so
the rest of your
true.
life."
Wait, is
Remember being
that
told.
wait? Oh my gosh.
It's
Kids
cursive,
need
so
to
we couldn't
learn
read it.
cursive. You're not gonna be able to read the
I
Constitution.
know.
I
It's
have not
weird.
written anything by hand probably since I graduated from high school.
Oh my god!
Not
Yeah, I
even
remember
a
like
list?
yeah. What are you
No.
doing?
That's what I was thinking. A list.
You
Yeah.
heard of notes on the iPhone?
I still take notes on pen and paper because I'm an old ass man.
Yeah, it's because you're a fucking nerd.
Here's my notebook for when I researched beer school.
I can just write
Yeah.
faster than I can type. Or I mean, I could type fast, but I just
That's
something about
debatable.
writing.
You can talk into your phone, Mash. I don't know what you can just
Yeah, but if-
talk and it types for you.
There's
Listen, come on.
actually an art though to especially cursive
I
writing.
love
They
it.
say your
Love it.
brain
Listen.
flows better when you're doing pen to paper.
Yeah, not to mention if you talk to stupid ass your iPhone, right? Guess what?
You're like,
Siri gets it wrong half the time.
Debatable.
No, Siri is never. No,
That's
don't even
true.
get me started.
I
I'll try
agree.
to talk
I
to
hate Siri.
Yeah, she doesn't get it right
She's
half
never
the time.
She's
right.
listening.
Siri's my girl.
That's
Like, I'm trying to have a
okay.
conversation
I hope
and
she
shit.
knows I hate her.
I've yelled at Alexa and Siri. I think they
She
both.
Need
definitely
your
does
approval.
know.
Yeah.
Definitely does know. Mash, you sipping on anything new over there in Mountain Home, Idaho?
I'm not. I'm using our
I'm gonna
nice
grab another
bomber
one.
jacket
736.
that we got from the Hops News here. Bang bang. Pimp this out a little bit in case y'all forgot. No, I'm still drinking the same thing. I've been having like a lot of health problems, and so I've significantly come. I'm on the TB12 diet. All right.
He's still hung over from Vegas a week and a
I'm
half
still
ago.
hungover from Las Vegas. That's my secret. I'm surprised. At 30 years
His
old,
secret, he's always hungover.
I should not have drank or eaten the things that I did in Las Vegas, but here we
Mash
are.
is like, I'm 30 years old and I got a lot of health problems.
I do.
I'm 20
no,
pounds
so-
overweight.
No, probably about 10. I'm about 10 right now. It's pretty bad. But I've picked up basketball again since they kind of let us do that, and it's really supreme. That's where I get back in my fighting weight. You know what I'm saying? And so no, I do have some health issues. So I've been on that TB12. Like I've been drinking a bunch of avocado juices. I'm getting all earthy, like beet juice.
Yeah, how'd
It's
that
great.
juice cleanse go?
I'm
Everybody's
really
still alive?
tapping into my hippie phase. So like I'll eat a small meal in the evening time, but I'm pretty much juicing and drinking smoothies during the day. Been feeling great. That's probably why my energy is through the roof. I'm talking
Really
a
buzzed
lot.
already because he hasn't
I'm
eaten.
A tiny bit. I actually, and then after
Mash,
this, I got one of my new
I've
side
got to
projects.
say, just when I think you can't get any more basic, you come up with shit off the wall that I would have never dreamed that you would try. Cleansing?
Listen,
Wait a minute. Did
drank
you
a-
say cleansing?
He's
listen.
cleansing.
The juices I drank today. So I started my day off with it had beets, it had romaine lettuce, it had cucumbers, and an apple, all in that juice. Fantastic.
Y'all are making
then
fun of my organic Oreos.
I had a nice like avocado, spinach, something smoothie. Again, fantastic. And then for I make these like dates energy bites, really good, give you lots of energy. And then before I went and hooped, I had carrots, orange, and apple. were in
Cut
this
his
juice.
mic. Oh my
Delicious,
God.
man. It's delicious.
I'm
And this is
sick of
why
This was after a weekend binger in Las Vegas.
Oh,
Is
God,
this
yeah,
kind of
right.
like a redemption?
I did some
I
really
think
dirty
so.
things.
It's gonna
Look,
say.
It
He
was 2
sold his
a.m.
soul to make the hangover end.
It was
Yeah.
2 a.m. I'm coming back to the
Good
hotel,
God.
and In-N-Out Burger is right next to the
This is-
Flamingo.
Oh,
And then
no.
I'm like, let's go get some animal fries and a double. And then I'm laying there like, ugh, what did I do? And then I did it again the next day. So,
And that was after how many fists?
I told the story on our hot Springs
After
News,
how
right?
many fists?
At the Super Bowl party, they were like at one point people were leaving because they messed up their video feed, and so they were walking
Or
around
because
like
the game was terrible.
the game was terrible. They were walking around with like Jello shots and stuff, and we had already been all you can drink. Like I was stealing buckets of full of beer, hiding them so they bring us more beer, and then they were bringing Jello shots, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm 21 again, and just all the Jello shots. And so I was legit hungover half the week. It was bad.
Oh
And
man.
I never want to do that
Damn.
again until next time. 'Cause I'll try anything twice.
So you go back to Vegas next time, you'll figure all about your cleansing.
But no, dead for serious. This is why I'm able to do things like that and play basketball and be as nimble and get mistaken for a 25-year-old. It's because I'm on this nice hippie healthy diet where I love everything like leafy greens. And that's
Because
the
he's
secret.
lightheaded.
That's the secret to my
Yeah,
eternal
right.
youth. Get your health tips here. You've heard of TB12? Well, you need MASH. I don't know. I don't got to.
What is TB12?
Tom Brady's diet. Come on, where are you
Oh.
going?
Aren't you in Florida?
He sacrifices children.
Brand
He's
new. I'm
55 years
texting
old
him
playing football
from the
still.
Patriots, Dolphins fan. I'm not a Buccaneers fan. I've
Everybody
never
knows
lived in
Tom.
Tampa.
Speaking of Florida, Hoppy, please save the day with something like 15% that you're drinking, because Mash is killing me with his damn juice cleanse over there in Idaho.
Well,
You're gonna say
have never
something like
done a juice
manly.
cleanse. I've never fasted. So, yeah, no, I'm good.
Just put beer on salads.
Well, his
Yeah.
few Twitter posts, because now that the Geeks page has a Twitter page, I like reignited my Twitter that had like
We're
5
taking
tweets
off.
from 7 years ago, and you can see the progression of his demise when he started the juice cleanse. Why is my wife making me do this? Oh my god, this is terrible. It's like, what is he
It was a
doing?
movie in 3 parts. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm all for eating healthy, but how can y'all make fun of my organic Oreos and this kid over here is juice cleansing? I mean, come on.
I eat avocado
Right.
toast with eggs from my
Avocado
chickens.
toast is fabulous.
First of all, it's
It is
fantastic because
delicious.
I have chickens, as y'all
But
know. And I
Toast
get
is
3 eggs a
food,
day.
too.
So I walk in, I got gluten-free toast. Gluten-free toast, my friend.
What do you do with the chickens when it's snowing? Can they stay
They're
outside?
fine. Oh, they're totally good. Yeah, they're totally fine. They're all good.
Oh.
Still
They got
egg production.
feathers.
Duh.
They've
They're pretty
got
fat. Honestly,
feathers.
I don't know
Honestly,
how cold
gotta have
weather works.
chickens.
It
Have you
baffles
never
me.
had a triple fat goose down jacket?
my chickens are pretty
I don't
fat.
even know what
so,
you just said.
What on earth?
The second one of those chickens decides to stop laying eggs, they're looking pretty good to be cooked. So you just watch out.
Oh,
Actually,
jeez.
Jay, I'm going to have to hit you up because it looks like we are finally actually coming to North Carolina the first week of March. I haven't said anything because I don't want the plans to get ruined again because I keep telling you we're coming and we don't. But we pulled all like the bibs and
First
stuff out of the
week of
attic, and I had no idea how to wash them. I had to like Google how to wash bibs and stuff. I almost texted you guys, but I didn't want you to make fun of me.
Like you're coming to skiing in North Carolina?
We're gonna go to Asheville for our anniversary's March 5th. So we're gonna go to Asheville, hopefully hit up White Labs and do some snowboarding, and then we're gonna
We'll
go
be
over to Blowing
open.
Rock. I know. I've already looked into it and looked at your food
Okay.
menu.
Please. She was like, "No, please, that'd be exciting." You're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be there already." Wow.
And well, because there's so many, I'm narrowing it down. But White Labs is definitely on there, especially because they have like a full restaurant. It looks like as well, and all the food.
Yep.
It looked like it was, they have certain things with certain ingredients, and well, you can elaborate on that more. Because
Yeah, so we do pizza there. It's mainly pizza kitchen. So the pizza dough is all fermented with our yeast, our beer yeast.
That's what I saw.
It's
Yo, hell
delicious.
yeah.
It's
I can't
delicious.
wait
And
to
I'm
check
not just saying that because it's the White Labs, but the pizza is actually delicious.
Sounds
Usually
like it.
brewery food tends to be like more like cuisine or artisan, like,
No,
more
they have
homemade
some
stuff
good
is
food
usually
at
pretty
a
good,
lot of
yeah.
these places. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And actually, I hate to say this, but my favorite thing on the menu that I get every time I'm there for lunch is the farmer's salad with chicken.
Oh.
Do you put beer on it?
You put beer in it?
No, I can't say that I've done
Your
it.
hesitation honestly scared me.
She was like,
You
"How do I
took
answer
way
this?"
too long to answer that.
Yeah. So Neva, we want to talk a little bit about bad beer before we run out of time here. So tell us some of the more common. Hoppy gave us a little bit of school last week. We talked about Band-Aids, banana flavors. We talked about a lot of the common flavors. Cover some of what the common flavors that the casual drinker might experience, and then explain what has happened that might cause those off flavors to happen.
Yeah, I gotta say the single most common off flavor that I encounter in beer regularly is diacetyl. I don't know if you guys talked about that a couple weeks ago, but diacetyl.
That's the word I butchered.
If you haven't tasted diacetyl, I'm gonna ruin your life by telling you what it tastes like. Buttered popcorn, butter.
Ooh.
I mean, how else can I describe it? Butterscotch. For me personally, it is probably the worst like offender of off flavors in beer because I I just don't like it. And I know there are some styles, English styles, where it's acceptable, but I just can't. If I taste even a little bit of it, I'm like, ugh, I can't even touch it. And that is actually is extremely common for a number of reasons, but you know, a lot of times it does have to do with just issues with fermentation, and specifically with taking the yeast away from the fermentation too early, because the yeast makes the diacetyl, but it actually reabsorbs it throughout the fermentation. So if it's not able to reabsorb it, it stays in the beer. And that's why you see it more commonly with English styles, because those strains of yeast tend to be a lot heavier, like they're clumpy and then they drop out of the beer really quickly. So they just don't get a chance to reabsorb that diacetyl, and it stays in the beer.
Well,
yeah,
cool.
that is definitely one of them that Hoppy's talked about. I've been able to identify it on a couple of beers that I know was just not a very good beer. It's not. I don't think it was anything intentional, but just something that they something in the brewing process, like you said, they didn't allow it to finish or whatever it may be. But I've definitely had a hint of that one. Another one is a cardboard box flavor, like cardboard. Is another one that I've heard and I've experienced myself. Give us a little bit of information on that, what that off flavor might be from.
Yeah, that's usually related. Well, there's a couple of things, but most commonly it's oxidation. So if there's air or oxygen introduced into the process at any point, like after the beer is finished, either at kegging or packaging, you know, like bottling or canning or anything like that, the beer can get oxidized, and that causes that cardboard flavor or aroma flavor to be present in the beer. So it's really like an oxidation effect.
Yeah. What are a couple of other popular ones that might be out there that some average beer drinkers might have experienced?
I know you kind of mentioned this already. The Band-Aid, like that plasticky kind of character, that comes from phenolic compounds. Phenols are very typical with like Belgian yeast strains, Belgian, German wheat styles. It can be like that peppery, clovey kind of thing, but in most beers outside of, you know, a Hefeweizen or a Saison or something like that, you don't typically see those, and you don't want those kinds of compounds. That usually relates back to just poor yeast health or something along those lines where the fermentation just didn't proceed as normal, mutations with the strain. Because most of our domesticated yeast strains don't even have the capability to produce those compounds. And at high levels, it'll be that like Band-Aid kind of character. So
is that something that people like you and White Labs do to, I guess, breed it out of the yeast genetics wise to get rid of that capability within the yeast? Is that just a progression in where we've been and where we are as brewers, and I guess more the microbiology side of brewing?
Yeah, it's not something that we can breed out. We would really have to do that over like hundreds of thousands of generations to really be able to get that out, unless we genetically removed, you know, that gene. And that would make it, you know, a GMO strain. But yeah, over the centuries of people collecting yeast from beer and like reusing them and reusing them, they would actually select for yeast from beer that didn't have those flavor compounds because people didn't like it. So we ended up now with all these like clean strains.
Very nice.
Huh, that's pretty cool.
Very nice. We definitely appreciate that little school. We're going to go around the clock again here one more time. Let's start over there with Lucky, feeling lucky. Parting shots. Where can people find you? What do they have to look forward to?
I did open another one while we were waiting, just so we know.
Me
This
too.
is another
shit.
Virginia one. Peach tea blonde ale from Micah again.
Peach tea. Ugh.
It's good. I think
Jeez.
he sent it to me because
It's better than juicing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
right.
is delicious.
Honestly,
Y'all don't even. I'm making y'all
Stop.
beet. I'm making you all beet juice the day after we drink at Common Law.
Beet
okay,
juice. Yeah, good ass one. Over my dead body.
you might be after that.
We'll see. I still wouldn't juice. I'd rather die than go on a fucking juice cleanse. Feeling lucky. So we just had our first episode with Great Lakes Distilling or Distillery drop yesterday. Today, I guess. I don't think we put it
was
on
yesterday.
until today. But yeah, Great Lakes Distillery was on. They were an awesome interview. We had to break it up into 2 parts because it ran like way too long. But it was a really cool interview. So check that out. Check out Feeling Lucky on Instagram and Twitter. Feeling without the G, Lucky POD. That's it.
Great
No
band.
other parting shots. Great band. What?
Wait,
You never heard
wait
of
a minute.
POD?
Wait a minute. We still raising money?
POD.
We still
Oh
raising
my
money?
God.
Yes, we
Yes,
have until February
I am.
28th. Gosh,
Man,
Until
how do you
February
miss
28th.
this?
I'm sorry. I don't know. I forgot.
you set it up.
I've got a I've gotten a bunch, so thank you to everybody that's donated. But yeah, we're raising money for the Barstool Fund. So
Hey,
send
somebody
us,
real quick, send me the picture of that spread that we're raising money for. And
Yeah,
I'll put that
Right
on.
on top of that.
Awesome. Yeah, we're giving away. I didn't do the calculations, but I'd imagine we're giving away like
It's a couple
I don't
$100
know.
worth of
It's
beer.
for sure. It's for sure a couple. There's a lot. There's a lot of beer that we're giving away. So that if you send us a receipt of at least $10 of a donation to the Barstool Fund, you can be entered. Every $10 donation, I know there's a couple people that just sent $10. If you want to donate more, you'll get your name in more times to win. And there have been a couple of big donations that I have received personally. So go and donate. Get your entry, get your names in. It's a lot of really awesome beer. It's some that you'll like never be able to find again. The one from me from Explorium is a one-time thing. Both of them might be one-time beers. I don't know that we'll see the Figgy Quad back, but for sure the 4th anniversary beer is going to be a one-time thing. So you want to get that. It's the best, literally the best beer that I've ever had. Yeah, go donate. That's a lot of fun. It's for a really good cause. So,
And I've almost got that photo pulled up here. So hold on just a second.
take your time. This peach tea is really good. This is another one from Micah. I am representing all Virginia tonight. Oh yeah, there it is. You got it.
So there's the giveaway. Donate to Barstool Sports Fund. Send one of us a copy of the receipt. For every $10, you're entered to win it. That's a bunch of good beer for $10 and a great cause.
Every $10 is one entry. So like there have been people that have donated $100 and that's 10 entries. That just do the math. Just want to make sure that is said. It's a really good fund. It's supporting small businesses. All the money goes to support small businesses. That's what we go for on Hops News. So small breweries all breweries are small businesses.
We just want to help everybody, man. We're going to save the world.
Well,
One beer at a time, but we're saving the world.
Yep.
For
Or
the
one juice
children.
at a time. One juice at a time. Save the
for
world.
the kids. Do it for the kids.
I also opened a beer, Hop Beard from Fonta Flora, since we were talking North Carolina.
Hey.
Oh.
That's a good beer.
Yep.
Hello. Look at me.
That's one of the brew. Oh my gosh, this tastes like a cookie, Lucky.
What was
Is that
it?
a good thing?
Dessert
Yeah, that's
beers.
a very good thing.
She's drinking
One
one
of
of
my
them
favorites.
damn organic Oreos.
Actually, dip an organic Oreo in this coconut porter, and that wouldn't be too shabby.
Yep. Mash. Geeks. What can we expect
gosh.
from Geeks and parting shots for the night?
Everything.
Yeah, so God, holy smokes, we've kind of blown up. Not to toot our own horn, but we probably have about 2.5 months worth of collabs we're working on. So we're probably gonna be releasing probably 2 episodes a week.
Not every week.
Not every week, but there's probably going to be an episode every other week at minimum where it's a collab with a special guest that we have. There's a lot of podcasts that want to work with us. We want to work with them. So we're talking a lot of good topics. Twitter's Geek Hops. Instagram Hops Geek News, and yeah, we've really intertwined, really kind of found a family, really been out there. It's
Not
been
we,
great.
it's all Mash.
It's well,
He's
Lauren's
the one
taking
pimping
care
the
of.
Twitter.
Hoppy's doing a really great job on the Instagram, but I've really helped us, get out there on Twitter, and we've made a lot of really good friends. And I was also on the Solo Society podcast that aired today. We talk whiskey and discount chocolate from Valentine's Day, movies, things of that nature. So check that out, Solo Society podcast. And yeah, we've got a ton of other guests from some really great podcasts, some really great people coming up, and every Monday, and probably gonna have to have some of our guest episodes airing on Fridays. So be on the lookout Mondays and Fridays here soon.
Awesome. Hoppy, finish us off with geeks and parting shots, and where can people find you?
So first I'm going to say I did just open this coconut porter from Lucky from City Lights Brewing. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's really good. It lived up to the hype. But yeah, like Mash said, he's killing it on the Twitter, hooking us up. And I mean, so many people today were tweeting out, oh, they were listening to us on our recent Wolverine episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the idea that anybody listens other than my mom and dad.
My mom doesn't even listen to us, so it's kind of nice that somebody.
Well, I don't know. I know my
us.
mom's in the chat. Are you caught up, Mom? I know every now and then when I can tell when my mom's listened because she watches on YouTube and she comments. But I know my dad's like, I'm not into the geek stuff, but he'll still like listen to some of it, even though he doesn't know what's necessarily going on. He did watch Game of Thrones though, and he's seen the Thor movies. But what would be really cool is one day when life goes back to normal and we can go to Comic-Con and then we can visit White Labs. I mean, that'll be an amazing, that's my bucket list, is to do Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con, and then we're going to go to White Labs right after. Yes.
There you go.
Because I was only in San Diego for 2 days, so I had to narrow it down to like 8 breweries.
Well, I went to the Hard Rock, so.
Good God.
That's at the top of the bucket list.
You just got to get to the one in San Diego, go to Coronado Island, and then the Hard Rock Cafe.
Hard Rock.
Jesus
See, Coronado Brewing was one that I wanted to hit up that we didn't hit up, so I have to do that too. But yeah, everything's going good. I still do get to manage the Instagram, so that's Hop Geek News, and of course, you can always find me as the Hoppy Mommy. And yeah, I mean, Geeks has been great. We just finished our 3rd episode of Wolverine, so that'll be coming out next week. We had Micah join us for that because he is like an encyclopedia of comic book knowledge. So, and Matt and I always say, we're not experts. We just really like talking about the stuff that we're not experts about. So we bring in the experts every now and then, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
I got one more plug. I am so sorry. I forgot.
Plug away.
I needed to let y'all know I'm cheating on us. I'm cheating on us. Right after this, I'm actually doing the very first episode of what's going to be called Adventures Anonymous with 2 of the guys from Hop Heroes, who you will remember as a guest. It's basically like an improv comedy type D&D style podcast where we just do stupid stuff, and that's coming down the pipe. So be on the lookout for me. I'm everywhere. This is why my wife hates me, because I literally book up all my nights with stuff instead of watching Dharma and Greg or whatever's on.
Dharma and Greg, that's still on.
I have no clue what Dharma and Greg is.
It's whatever's on Hulu. It's an old show.
Don't worry about it.
Not missing much. Not missing much. Good.
She's a yogi. He's a lawyer, and they fell in love.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah, no, but be on the lookout for that.
She's a yogi?
Yes, like super into yoga, crunchy.
Oh,
I was thinking Yogi Bear.
That's what I thought. I was like,
yeah, she steals picnic baskets at parks.
We're crossing all over. Oh my God.
Yeah. Neva, we appreciate you joining us tonight. It's been great to hear from you, and it's been a great conversation. Where can people find you on social media or follow White Labs?
Oh my gosh. You can follow us on Instagram. It's at White Labs Yeast. We have a Facebook handle. I'm sure it's the same thing. White Labs Yeast. You can follow me, Neva Parker, on Instagram at Neva Parker. And I, as always, I'm at White Labs. I'm on our webpage, whitelabs.com. In the About Us section, all my contact information is there. If you ever have an inkling to get in touch with me, I'm here in San Diego most of the time, and sometimes Asheville.
Awesome. Well, we definitely appreciate your time and joining us tonight. It's been great to hear a little bit more about White Labs and kind of what goes on with the brewing process of beer. Definitely appreciate your time and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me on. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to our ramblings.
Yes.
For
It was very
sure.
enjoyable. It
For
was very
sure.
enjoyable. Thanks for making me open a beer.
Yeah. You can open more. We can come back and
I'm
talk some
enjoying
more.
it. I am
Yeah,
enjoying
it's
it.
still early out in San Diego.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
is. It's only 6:00. So yeah,
Nice.
I've got all night.
Yeah.
There you
Nice.
go.
So check us out. Obviously, you can follow Hops News anywhere at Hops News. Be able to get to us. Donate, help support that cause that is Barstool. And another thing coming up for our Sip of Sunshine, we've got 3 months of a pilot virtual tasting that we're doing for our Sip of Sunshine members in the Patreon group. I believe the first one for March is going to be Boonshine. We'll know for sure by the end of the week.
Ooh.
April is going to be one of our very own, Brad, there in Common Law, and he's got a great box lined up for you for April. And then we're working on one more for May that'll finish out our pilot that we're doing with the virtual tasting. We'll regroup and figure out what it looks like going forward, but those are what we're going to do. Also coming up for our Sip of Sunshine group, we've got a little care package that we're going to start rotating around through the host. Just some small things that we're going to put in there for some local breweries and help get their word out as well. So if you're interested, go check us out on Patreon. Search Hops News. You'll be able to find us there. There's a couple spots left for the Sip of Sunshine level, but I think maybe there's only 2 or 3 more left. I can't remember. But there's a couple more spots left, and that'll be filled up. But looking forward to sharing some beer and looking forward to doing the virtual tastings. The idea is we're going to get 2 or 3 of the same beers for everybody, whoever's in the Sip of Sunshine group. Send them out to you. We're going to jump on a Zoom with the brewer, the head brewer, or one of the brewmasters or something, and they're going to tell us about the beer. I find that the conversation that you have with those guys about how they made the beer or how they came up with those recipes or that style can be pretty fascinating at times. So I hope we get to explore that a little bit more. And I know Brad's is going to be good. Him and I have been chatting back and forth quite a bit about it. So that will be good. Appreciate you tuning in tonight. It's been real as always. Wednesday nights are one of my favorite nights of the week. We get to get together and drink and talk beer. Appreciate you joining us. Check us out, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Just trying to make the cheer sound.
Yeah, Hoppy's still popping tops over there.
No, I was
Still
trying to
popping
cheers
tops.
my own beers for the sound effect.
Hoppy's trying to get some sound effects.
Well, that was